Today what we're thinking about bringing to you is the difference between a healthy sense of self. So we've been talking about narcissism a lot. And what a lot of people I see are confused about the difference between what is narcissism when we're self-consumed and all about ourselves, and when we have a healthy sense of ourselves, meaning when something doesn't feel right, we don't agree, something doesn't feel good. I want to help people discern the difference between being self-consumed and not caring about other people, what can be known as selfish, self-consumed, right? It's a feeling. I want to help people, people, especially people I'm seeing, seem to really care about the difference. And we're not here to make any of them wrong, bad, disparage them. What we're talking about here is wanting to be happy as possible with the world being just the way it is, and relationships just the way they are, so that we're not going to be living alone on a mountaintop, you know which is one possibility. But how to do this related thing, how to be in relationship with each other, and primarily how to be in right relationship with ourselves. There's a Buddhist saying, from right relationship with self flow all other right relationships. So a lot of us can get balled up in, if that person would only do blah, 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 then I could finally relax. And if my boss would treat me right, and my partner who, then I'd be okay. And I'm not saying that's all wrong. I'm just saying, people, hang on a second. Let's start with ourselves. Right relationship with self. Like, even if we feel funky, it's like, oh, I'm all balled up, I'm really anxious, I got so much stuff going on, and somebody's really bothering me. What I want to help you do is, rather than focusing on that person, all outer circumstances, I need a new job, I need a new house, I need a new person, I need a new partner, I need new clothes, I need to lose 20 pounds, all these things. I'm not saying that there's not validity to those things. I just want to help you stay with yourself. So this is what we now know is the neurobiology. There's science to what we're talking about as far as reeling our energy back. All this outer focus, you can feel it even as we're talking about it. It's like, the stomach gets contracted and comes up, and the heart hurts, and there's this and spinning. What I want to do is actually, so rather than casting our fishing pole and it ring out there, it's like, okay, hook something that I can grab onto and make me happy, and then off to the races we go. What I'd like to do is, let's reel that all back in. Let's put down the fishing pole. Actually, let's come back to our canoe. I frequently use this metaphor. So let's look at life as we're in a canoe. Okay, we're on a stream or a river, and we got our paddle and we got our canoe, and we're paddling along. Now, there's people on the riverbanks with fishing poles, and they are casting, and we can get hooked, right? I want to help you keep paddling and avoid those hooks, so that sometimes there's rapids, and when we need to be able to rise to rapids, which is not always paddling faster, sometimes it's about being able to stop and wait and watch and know when to say or do something. Sometimes we need to pull over. Sometimes we need to put the paddle up. Sometimes we need to take a break. Sometimes we get pulled into an eddy where we're going round and round and round on something. So this I call as a metaphor for life. So back to our sense of self. So our sense of self is us in our canoe, being right in our canoe. So it's not tippy. How for us to get as grounded as possible to tend to life's challenges. So I want to help you really see the challenges of life that pull us out, right? Hook us out of our boat, and then we're out of our boat and we're dangling on the edge of our canoe, and right? How to stay how to see these challenges, how to fortify ourselves. So even as I'm talking about this, notice. So imagine yourself, if that resonates for you, in your canoe and really feeling your butt on that little bench in the canoe, really feeling your feet on the ground. So I'm talking about these things. You can maybe visualize people on the riverbanks or situations, work things, children, all these things that pull us out of our boat. So see all those things, but let's really bring our focus into right now with me, right now. See, I just had a natural huge breath. Right this moment, feeling your butt on what you're sitting on and your feet, not rigid. How to just bring your feet, how to feel what you're, the ground, wherever you are. You might be in your car. You might be on, right? You might be on a chair. Whatever. Feel whatever your feet are making contact with for grounding, centering. So I'm bringing in some science of how to stay in our canoe. It's quite simple. It's really not complicated. So I want to do it again, where we see, we get pulled out and we leave ourselves, right? And then before I know it, I'm on the edge of the canoe and I'm pulled out and I'm gone. I'm not even in my canoe. Then I'm in the water and I'm flailing and, right? I want to help you stay in your canoe no matter what. So back to the basics. Feel, so right now I'm doing my feet, just wiggling the toes a little bit. I have a person who is in a wheelchair, who is paralyzed from their waist down, and we do this still. It resonates for him. It's not for me to say, but it resonates for him to feel and imagine his feet. He sees his feet, imagining them making contact. He is aware of the contact of his butt on the wheelchair. So I want to bring in whatever your circumstance. We want to bring in as much grounding and centering to counterbalance when we get pulled out of the top of us. We want to enhance our connection with the lower part of us, no matter what our circumstance is. Bring in as much grounding, like a sandbag. Kind of like I love, for me, I can imagine I've got some ducks and some geese over here. They're quite large in the bottom. They're quite great with their, right? I kind of imagine my own goose butt just pulling me, just holding me here. Okay. So back to what I was saying when we first started here is good sense of self, a sense of self. So, right, so I'm in my canoe doing the best I can. Sometimes I get pulled out, sometimes I've made a mistake, but me with me, I need me. I need me. Okay? So when there's a good sense of self, when I'm not building a case against somebody, I'm aware. So I really want to fortify the felt sense of what a good sense of self is. What that looks like and feels like is it's not a lot of thinking, actually. It's actually no thoughts. There's awareness. There's I can't even quantify. There's awareness, like a lighthouse. Pure awareness. I'm aware. I'm not checked out. It's just I'm not busy thinking. I'm right here. Okay? So good sense of self. I can have an aching heart. I can have sadness here, confusion. I'm a little dismayed at a mistake I've made. How to be with all that, but not be taken away by it. There's some things I want to tend to, make amends for, or do differently. Absolutely. And I need me in this moment. So I want to really help you catch and fortify this good sense of self when we could slow the thinking down and come back to center if even for a moment, which is known as a reset. That's science. When we can stop our thoughts for even a moment, the whole system goes, ooh, thanks, ooh. Science, folks, okay? So that's good sense of self. And I want to help you notice when we are in selfish and self-consumed to our detriment and to the detriment of our relationships. When we're so consumed with ourselves and what we want and need from other people and building a case, and that's not going to be helpful relationally. When we're so consumed with ourselves, why aren't you seeing what I need? Or I need you to be. I just want to help you see that. We all do it. I just want to help you see it so that if you're even wondering if you're self-consumed or selfish, you might be. But we don't need to make it wrong or bad. I just want to help you see it. If you're wondering if you're selfish, let's check. That doesn't mean you always are. I mean, some people go overboard where it's like, I really want to help us hone here. This is where you might need help from your therapist, wise other, spiritual teacher. I wouldn't go too much to friends or non-professionals because they've got their opinions and projections and they'll put it on to you. I don't want to go off on a tangent here. So this is where we may need some professional help to really clean up parts of us, because there's wisdom to these parts building a case. There might be things you need to tend to, but I want to catch when we're really lost or gone I really want to help you hone this place where there are things we need to tend to. And when we're getting self-consumed and we're gone, when it's just, and it's tilting. So what you and I are talking about right now is parts. So how to stay with ourselves when our parts show up, so that we really get to know our parts, so that we know if we have to speak up. This is not about being small, caving in all the time and giving ourselves away. It's about getting to know ourselves so well that we know when we need to say something, when we can stay with ourselves and ride through the intense rapids of strong emotions so that we stay empowered, which means, right, we stay with ourselves. We stay in our heart and strength. True power, not power over somebody, not powering through. True power, which is heart and strength. And that can be vulnerability too, right? And it has a lot to do with the belly. So how to get to know our parts. They're abusing me. They're saying something verbally abusive. They're being mean to me. Something's really wrong here. Yeah. And that's what we're looking at, is how to hone ourselves so that we can be able to speak. I don't like the way you're treating me right now. Ooh, you said something that feels really bad. So that we can stay in relationship with a person and or need to know when we need to walk away. So that's empowerment. And again, we're looking at all these different relationships, bosses and work situations where we can't always necessarily walk away. Partner, again, we're looking at all these different situations and how to navigate them, right? We're in our canoe, how to navigate situations when we do ultimately need to walk away, which is, no, not always easy, but more than anything, how to stay with ourselves so that we can navigate, which is a completely different energy. And that's the crux of what we're talking about here, is the difference between selfish, self-consumed, narcissism, building a case, and that energy that can go into it. It can actually be it might feel empowering, but it actually is very contracted. And we're actually, this is my little feisty fighter. It's like, we're going to battle when actually we want how to stay in the purity, our true power, how to stand up for ourselves when we need to, how to retreat when we need to. Everything in between in relationship with ourselves is a completely different energy. We show up in the world in a completely different way than this other energy of being self-consumed, egocentric, narcissistic, building a case. You can't treat me that way. Again, I'm playing here, and I don't mean to disparage or make fun of these things. What I want to help you with is true empowerment and how to navigate in the world. And that includes when to retreat, and when to fight and stand up from pure strength and power, not from these more contracted places of the little feisty fighter who is, it's not empowering. And people pick up on that and will run us over, which you may see time and time again, where we're trying to stand up for ourselves and trying to build a case, but it's not working. So I know I've brought up a lot here. And there's still so much more to talk about, but I want to plant some seeds for your self-awareness, because it's one thing to be pointing fingers at people who are narcissistic and narcissists. We've got to look at ourselves when we are that, when we're expecting other people to be thinking about us and our needs, and when we can actually move all that aside so that we're actually operating from true empowerment, not these other smaller ways where we're trying to get power, which takes a little bit of work and takes some refinement to really get to know. I want to really help you come into your true power.